Welcome to this episode of Wanderlust Solo Women Travel Unscripted. Real women, real stories, real journeys, and no filter. Join Gina, your host, to share the experiences and stories of solo female travelers and advocates from all over the world, with a mission to empower women of all ages, backgrounds, and life stages to embrace solo female travel with confidence and enthusiasm, while being authentic and real, unscripted. Confronting the challenges and apprehensions many women face when considering solo adventures, providing inspiration to break through those barriers. Sharing how life transitions, loss, and trauma can lead to amazing experiences, rediscovery, and life journeys. The good, the bad, and the ugly of authentic and honest travel. So let's throw out the script, get comfy, and jump right into this episode.
Joining me, Soëlily Consen-Lynch. She is a legal professional employed in Australian state government and has found deep fulfilment in community work and advisory roles. Advocacy has always been her first passion, closely followed by a love of travel. She thrives on research, planning and creating seamless experiences, whether for events, dinner parties or holidays. What started as a hobby, organising itineraries and trips for friends and family, evolved into curating stylish, stress-free itineraries and getaways. She created Serenity Travels with one mission in mind: to take the stress, overwhelm, and decision fatigue out of travellers, especially women, so they can experience the world with confidence, ease, and deep connection. In this episode, we will cover everything from what you should consider on a deeper level when planning your next travel experience to what it means to travel with purpose and intention. So get comfy, grab a cuppa, and let's take off. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Wanderlust Solo Women Travel Unscripted. And today's guest is Soëlily. Welcome, welcome. It's so good to have you here.
Good morning, Gina. Thank you for having me.
And I appreciate you getting up early. So you're coming to us from Sydney today?
No, Canberra, Australia. A little bit further south.
Sorry, yeah, you're definitely way more south. Sorry, yeah. So it's great to have women from all over the world that come in and be guests and tune in. So it's so good to have you here. And I can't wait to delve into our conversation because we've been chatting a little bit off air. So I'm really excited for this episode. But as we start each show with the Pass the Parcel signature question, I've got a really cool one for you, which I think is really relevant to what you want to share in the podcast anyway. So the question I have for you today is, what is the meaning of true purposeful travel to you?
Purposeful travel to me is travel where you can really dive into the local culture and can learn from their culture, their experiences, what real local life is, but also travel where you can ensure that your money, everything that you bring in as a tourist, goes to the local people. That it doesn't go to a big chain, it doesn't leave the money again, leave the country again with expat, but it stays with the people who work in hospitality, who work in retail and cleaning, who do the tours, who are like the local real guys and the people who really do the hard work.
Yeah, and I think that's so true. And I mean, that segues perfectly into what we want to chat about on today's show too, because you create beautiful travel experiences for people. And I loved how we were connecting over, we've got a passion for very similar experiences and wanting to share that. And I think that's when anyone's planning a trip, whether you want to use the word purposeful travel, mindful travel, intention travel, but putting some real thought into not only what you want out of an experience, because it's not about you just taking and having, it's about what you can give back, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we have a responsibility, especially as travelers from Western society, to ensure that the local people get a benefit, that they not just get being used or that people see it as, oh, it's cheap for us to go there because then you feel rich if you go there because you can do more with your money. No, it has to be respectful and it has to be to ensure that they benefit from it the most.
Yeah, and I think, and it does take a little bit of research and a little bit more time and effort, but that's when someone like yourself comes in perfectly because you're attuned to all this sort of thing. What are your some real good advice or tips you could give someone that is wanting to plan a more deeper connection with their travel experience?
I think first thing that I always ask people is, what is the aim of your trip and how do you want to feel? Do you just want to explore? Is it a family reunion? Is it just a get together with friends? You want to have fun? Or is it just a rest holiday? There are all different mindsets. So if you know what you want to get out of it and how you want to feel based on that and the duration of your trip, how long you want to travel, how long you want to fly, what you want to spend, you can then start to create something personal. But most importantly, if the trip you're planning doesn't align with the aim of the trip and how people want to feel, it will never be good for them, even if you put them in a 5-star hotel. But if they have a mindset of how they want to feel on the trip and after the trip, you need to ensure that your itinerary feels up to that. You have to get to that bar for them, because it's not of, oh, I've made this perfect itinerary for them and they have the driver and they have the tour and they have this. But if they actually wanted to have a resting trip and visit some temples and for the rest do nothing and just write in their journal, you're missing the mark.
Yeah. And I think you touched on something extremely important, because I pretty much bet most people don't even take this into consideration when they're planning a journey, is how you want to feel. There's always what I want to do, what I want to see, what I've got to tick off, like all must do's. But
Yes.
how often do we ask ourselves how I want to feel on that trip?
Yes, because a lot of the time, especially now with all the social media and the viral posts and the must-sees, people think that if they go to certain locations, if they haven't done what are the must-sees, it's not a good trip. But if you don't like the must-sees, don't do them.
Yeah.
Just because other people like them and they're viral doesn't mean you have to do them. You can be honest to yourself and think of, what do I want to see? What do I want to feel? And I think that people slowly started moving away from that again and start thinking about what is important for me instead of going viral.
And I think that, God, that's such a good point, because it's like, when I did most of my solo traveling, it was back 2011, 2012. And, I did post a little bit on my Facebook page, but that was to my friends. But my experiences, where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do, was nothing about sharing with some random strangers on a social media platform. But today, so many people seem so focused on that, they are losing sight of why they want to go or need to go on that trip. And you are, as from Western cultures, we are really blessed to have the opportunity and the freedom to go and take these trips for the first place, so we need to, I don't want to use the word show it a little bit more respect, but, be way more mindful of what we are doing and be intentional in it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know something funny? Up until I started my business, even though I travel a lot and everything, all my accounts were private. So no one could see where I was and everything, because I was like, I didn't feel comfortable having people I don't know having access to my private photos and information. I have business accounts now for the business, but still I post sometimes things from when I travel, but not all the other trips and stuff that I did. And my husband used to jokingly say, like, you're the influencer without a public account. And
I
I
love
was like,
that.
yeah, I didn't see the, maybe I'm showing my age as well. I didn't see the need to have a public account back then, even if I was traveling and doing stuff.
Because I think it's like what I see, you end up by default becoming a content creator. And like for us, we want to facilitate amazing transformational travel experiences.
Mhm.
And by default, we have to become content creators
Yes.
to get that message out. And then I think even individual, and you're so right, what you touched on. I'm sure if someone knocked on your door at home and said, hey, can I go through your photo albums and your phone gallery and, other stuff? Are you okay with that? Most people would say no. It
I
was
don't know you.
so easily we share stuff on social media that we wouldn't.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's this really funny mindset, and like younger generations, that is the norm too. At least we have something we can look back on to compare it to. Whereas newer generations, there is no comparison. So that is the norm.
Yes, they don't know any better. They just don't know any better. And I always, even now, people sometimes find my personal account through my business account. And then they send me friend invitations. And I'm still like, I don't know you in person. It's fine that you want to follow my business account, but not my private account, because that has like photos of my family and photos of myself. I'm like, yeah, I think people are so accustomed to getting access to everything
Yeah.
that they are almost offended if you say you have access to that part of me, but not to that part.
Yeah, that is so true because I get requests for like friend requests, obviously, I'm in a lot of women's travel groups and stuff like that. And I've got no problem with getting a request, but put a little note, just a disclaimer, put a little note with it so I know who you
Who
are
you
or
are.
what the connection is, because I'm not just going to accept people, and I know other people do, but yeah, I need some connection or point of reference, so
Yeah.
please, to those out there, if you send me a friend request, put a note with it.
Yes. I also, even with the business account, I also tell people like, for me, it's not about the followers. I want to have women who feel aligned with my business view and aims, because followers mean nothing. You can buy followers online, means absolutely nothing. But if you have 10,000 followers, but your business goal or aim only aligns with 10 of them, it still doesn't mean anything.
No, I know. It's it's a crazy world how we sort of view importance and relevance now, like through likes and stuff like that. But I really want to like segue on to, we were talking about also, and it is true, like we want authentic, genuine experiences, right, when we travel. But, the honest truth is we also want our creature comforts,
Yes.
most of us.
Yes.
So how do you recommend like balancing, the want without being disrespectful too? Because I'm very mindful of that, okay, you can say I've lived local or gone and have a local experience, but we've got to be really respectful of that experience. But the honest truth is, we still want a nice comfy bed and a nice
Mhm.
hot shower and a working toilet and all these other things. So is there a way you balance when you're designing your trips, balance that so people still get an authentic, genuine experience,
Mhm.
but also feel comfortable enough to enjoy that, I suppose is the best way to put it.
Yes. What I do, I work with local tour operators, guys that are completely locally owned, that are very well respected in the community, and who are aware of what they all offer in their destinations, locations. And when I started arranging the trip, I told them, and also on my visits, because I also do inspection visits, I told them I only want to have hotels that are locally owned. I don't want to have any hotels that are owned by expats, that are owned by change. And I want to see the hotels. I want to hear the history of the hotels, how they developed and everything. Because yes, I want to have it authentic, but you also want to have a relaxing shower and sit at the pool after a full day at the temples. So what I noticed is that there are a lot of amazing locally owned businesses in Asia. You just need to put an effort to find them and to ensure that when you negotiate a partnership with them, do it in a respectful way and ensure that they benefit from you as well of your services. It's not like, oh, I'm bringing the money and I'm bringing the tourists so I can decide on all the conditions of our partnership. No, it's a give and take. We need them as much as they need us. We actually need them even more than they need us because they know the local community. The one that I have in Bali and in Chiang Mai as well, the one in Bali is locally owned, owner of the hotel, built the hotel just outside of Ubud, near the village where he comes from. The people who work in the hotel are the people from his village. On the last trip, they even had students now who are still in high school, also working in the hotel with their little tag trainee, and they can ride the bike from the village to come and work here. And
And
it's
I
a win.
love that. Yeah.
It's I told my guests as well, it's like, this is what I do. And this is why we're not in the big hotels, we're in the smaller hotels. But the hotel, they still had an outdoor kitchen for the cooking class. They had a spa. We could do all the spa treatments we wanted to do. We got cultural shows. They had a yoga class. So everything was there, but just locally owned. You can see how it's built. You can see all the people who work there. And I think it brings something extra if you put
Yeah.
an effort to ensure that you have that another aspect of authenticity on top of doing all the cultural stuff. You still have your comforts. You still have your comfort, you still have your luxury. You're just making sure that you take the services from local providers.
Yeah, 100%. And I totally agree because, we both run experiences in Bali, and I think it's a really good example of, because there are so many providers there. There's a plethora of choice there, but it's, yeah, like you said, connecting with locals that are doing the initiatives and have they're training people and skills through the industry and stuff like that. And they're there. You just have to take the time to look for them or do a little background research. I always do it into hotels when I'm booking hotels for myself.
Hmm.
I read the reviews, but I also actually go to the hotel website and see if they
Yes.
have, like a sustainability policy, like an ethical policy for fair wages and just little things like that. It's not going to tell you 100% if that business is doing what they say, but
Yeah.
the fact that they're even thinking that way and have it out there, then they understand there's an importance in it, and it's a start. And I think even hotels that have, eco policies, they have those little signs you sometimes see,
Hmm.
like, please reuse your towels, or, or do this or reuse that. And I think it's really important that we're not, also when we travel, we're not wasteful and we are mindful of those things as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because we can sit on our high horse when we're at home about environment and everything, but if we don't do it as well when we're traveling, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's so important. And the other thing I sort of wanted to really touch on, when we were chatting, you talked about being selective in where you put your energy. And I found that really important. And it wasn't in a negative way, but I think as we get older, we recognize that maybe a little bit more. And I think building that into your travel experience, well, acknowledging
Hmm.
that when you're building your travel experience is really important. So that's like where we lean into like flexible itineraries, isn't it?
Yes, it's the flexible itineraries, but it's also being honest enough to tell people what you don't offer. Like, for example, the Thailand and the Vietnam trips. I really tell people up front, this is not a party trip. If you want to party in Thailand, this trip is not for you. This is a trip for culture, for rest, for wellness, and there's nothing wrong with party trips, but this is not it for you. Because I know that if people would book it and they think, oh, they're going to do beach clubs all day and we're going to go on the beach club boat and we're going to do this and we're going to do that and that's it, they will be disappointed when they book the trip. So it's my responsibility to tell them honestly, like, look, I can arrange such a trip for you, but this women's trip, that is a completely different trip and a vibe. But if you want to have such a party, rest, fun trip, more than happy to arrange it for you. More than happy. You can have it with friends or you can have it solo. Just tell me what you want. How many clubs do you want? What do you want to do? Do you want to have some activities? You don't want it, but just then it's just their private trip based on their preferences
Yeah.
and not the group trip that I organize for women. Because I really want what I saw with my women's trip. I used to do women's trips and solo trips for years. Once a year, I go on a solo trip. And I would always see that you would have like cultural things. You would have you could select the excursions you want to do. And less women would select you want to go to the beach club or you want to do this. And I was like, okay, good, because that's also what I don't want. So I was like, what if because I would always do those trips with companies from the US and the UK. So I was like, what if I start organizing those trips from Australia and just be honest about what my intent is and what
Yeah.
type of trip I want? Because you need to bring it with honesty. Because only if you bring it with honesty, you will get the right people to join you on your trips.
Oh God, I couldn't agree more. And I think it's that, your vibe attracts your tribe. And knock on wood, I've
Yes.
been very lucky with the guests that I've had come along. And I think it is because, I do try to be as transparent as possible. And like I was saying off air when I was talking about, the accommodation I provide, like for my Bali trips, it's very authentic. It's nice, it's comfortable, it's beautiful, but it's not high-end luxury
Yeah.
because there's so much there. And I tell my guests, if you want to stay on in Bali for another few days, which I quite often recommend at the end of
Hmm.
a trip, go and book one of those places. Go and stay there so you can compare and see. But there's so much out there on offer
Yes.
that I do try to be honest and say, well, it's there, but that's not what I'm providing. This other place might do it, and that's fine. You can go there, but that's
Mhm.
not what I'm providing. And the
Yes.
same thing about partying and stuff like that. There's, what stuff. And the same with yoga. Mine don't concentrate on yoga, but if you want to do a yoga one, here's a yoga one. So
Yeah.
it's,
It's
reading
an
your
expectation.
clientele. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, expectations. You did touch on it a bit about you traveling. And I just want, if you want to elaborate on this a bit more, because like in your bio, it sort of touched on this is one reason you created what you're doing now. And I did have to look up the acronym
Mhm.
CALD because I didn't know what it was, but now I know. So it's culturally and linguistically diverse people. So in your case, women. And I really want to delve into that a little bit more because from your perspective, you obviously saw a gap or a hole in the market there or
Mhm.
a less of a representation. Is that what you saw?
Yes, that's what I saw. And also in women's trips or retreat here organized in Australia, if I would go on them or one of my friends would go on them, you're often, as the women of color or the women from an ethnic background, you're often the only one in the group. People are very nice and everything, but it just doesn't always click. And it's not in the big activities, but it's in when you would be discussing work experiences or when you would be discussing things in the community. For example, if one of my clients would discuss, oh yeah, she's having counseling just for her mental health and just to have someone to vent about it. And the psychologist told her something like, oh yeah, you just don't do that. Tell your family they have to stay out of your business and this and this and this. Everyone who is ethnic would know straight away that advice doesn't go in ethnic community because family bonds and the network and that's you don't say things like that. And just those little things for connection and feeling that you're in a safe space and you can share how you feel at work and share how certain comments are sometimes like, really? Without having to explain why you felt like that,
Yeah.
because there's a relevance straight away. And I felt that with the trips I did from the UK and the US, because that were women's trips for Black and brown women. So I don't know, it takes away kind of a weight off your shoulder to make sure that everyone is comfortable. You
Yeah.
can be yourself. And that's what I wanted to bring to Australia, New Zealand, everywhere in the world as well. And I always tell people like, everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome. If you're Italian or you're second generation Greek, and because you still feel the disconnect sometimes.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because, and I think what you just said about that woman, that person, the psychologist giving that advice. So I wouldn't have thought to compare when you said it at 100% registered about, and that's why I giggled a little bit
Mhm.
because yes, 100% in some cultures, it's like family is everything. That's just, not going to happen. But in that conversation context, that's a really good observation. And like I had a mix on my trips, which I'm
Mhm.
really lucky at, but to be honest, I don't see it a lot. Do you, and I don't want to be, disrespectful here
Mhm.
or stand on anyone's toes, but do you think women from those backgrounds, because of all the things you just said, don't go on a lot of these experiences because they don't feel like they're in a place where they can relax? Or, do you think there's something holding? Because, there's women from many ethnic backgrounds and diversities that do travel. Do you think there's reasons from your perspective why we don't see more, I suppose I want to say mixed groups?
I think a lot of the women do, just like myself. If I want to do something, I'm still going to do it. And you're not going to make me feel uncomfortable for wanting to do something. And that's why I provide a combination of trips. I only have one or two trips that are for cult women. All the other trips are mixed trips because I feel that you need to be able to do both.
Yeah.
And you need to be able to have that space for both and have that extra relief and not having to watch, how do I say this? Have you heard of code switching?
No. So elaborate.
Code switching, for example, is if people of ethnic background if they are together with other people of ethnic background, they don't have to change the color of their tone, the color of their speech, their accent, anything, how they sentence the word, nothing. But if they're in a work environment or in a community public environment, they have to code switch to make themselves more acceptable. On the cult trips, you don't have to code switch. Nothing who you are. You can come as you are. In the mixed trips, sometimes you do, because you need to be considerate of everyone and everything.
Mm.
And that's the difference. That we take you as you are. You don't have to code switch. If you wanna, in one sentence, while you're talking to one of your friends, mix 3 different South African languages, go ahead. I won't be offended. You can do that in the mixed group
Yeah.
because you're trying to be considerate of everyone.
Yeah. And I think that
The difference.
it is, and I think from my experience, that's what travel has taught me. It's embracing all those differences and diversities. And, I definitely don't feel offended if someone starts, I mean, even I mix Maori language into conversations sometimes, and I forget, other people don't know, and I embrace that, but that's
Yeah,
personally me. And travel has taught me that, which I'm very
yeah.
grateful for. But I'm glad you brought that up, because it's honestly something some people might not have even considered or even
Mhm.
thought about. So thank you for sharing that and just clarifying what it is. And I hope people learn from that. And it's, at the end of the day, we all want to bring everybody together to feel
Exactly.
safe, accepted, and comfortable.
Exactly. And that's why I keep I call it just a mixed group. That's why I keep the mixed trips in as well, because we live together. We need to learn about each other's culture and learn about each other and be able to experience new things together and travel together. And it's I think it's really nice, especially in Australia, with how many different cultures people mix just in daily life.
Mm.
So many different cultures. So for me, it's like we need to have that working together and living together. We also need to be able to say when we're resting, we also want to rest together. We also understand that sometimes people need their safe space where they can be and in their group or with other people who understand the little intricacy from being
Yeah.
from ethnic background. But the main focus is women experiencing new cultures together and going on adventures together, because all women are dealing with the group chat trips. You know what the group chat trips are, right? And they're going on this trip and they're going on this trip, but the trip never leaves the group chat. But you always have these friends who really want to travel. We're all dealing with that. So
Yeah.
why not all come together and then experience this together?
And the irony of that is, we're talking about the people actually on the trip. Those people are going to experience a different culture and a different way of life. But quite often it's not just that. They're actually experiencing by the people they're meeting on that trip that they're traveling with as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The last big women's trip I did, we had I think 15 from the US, few from the UK, France, and just me from Australia. And we all are still very good in touch and stuff. And one of them unfortunately passed away this week due to cancer. But we're all still in the group chat and supporting her cousin who was also on the trip. So yeah, it can be the start of very beautiful relationships and friendships and that crosses borders.
Yeah, and you made my hairs stand on end, because literally same thing. We had a woman pass away from cancer
Oh,
3 weeks ago that was on our group trip, and sadly she was supposed to be coming on the next one, and we have the group chat. So yeah,
that's
we've been supporting each other, so I totally get that. But isn't it wonderful that, across these great divides, that we can do that and still come together? And because the thing is, this is what you do learn. Doesn't matter where you're from, what culture, what background, what religion, we're all after the same basic
yes.
things, happiness and health for our families, joy and stability. They're universal.
Absolutely. And women are all dealing with it doesn't matter if they live in Western societies or if they live in Australia or if they live more in an ethnic community. Women are all dealing with the same thing and the same
Yeah.
guilt that it's a bad thing if you take time for yourself. It's not a bad thing if you take time for yourself. You need to take time for yourself. It's the same as when you're in your plane. They're telling you, you put your mask on first and then you help other people. So I'm trying to tell more and more women like it is okay to say, I want to have a week for myself and do something that I want to do. I don't have to take care of kids. I don't have to take care of my husband. You don't even have to take care of yourself because we do everything. You all have to get dressed and get ready to go on the excursions. But it's a mindset with women as well. It's like, oh, what are others gonna say if I leave my family for a week? It's like
Yeah.
they're with their dad. They're not gonna die. And this is
Yeah.
for you. You don't have to work yourself to the bone without having some free time for yourself.
Yeah, that's 100, and I get that a lot about this guilt that, women about putting themselves first, but the image you used of, the oxygen mask is so true because if you're running on low or empty or nothing at all, then you don't serve anything else, but it's really hard to, yeah, make that decision and actually take that step to go and do that thing, whether it's near or far.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Even one of my friends who came on one of the trips, she doesn't even have kids, but she was like, I'm always the one organizing everything for if she goes on trip with her partner. She
Yeah.
does like the restaurant reservation, she does the excursions and stuff. And she's like, this is so relaxed that you've done everything. I said, yeah, this is what I mean.
Do you find it on, because I've had it with a few women on my group trips, it actually takes them quite a few days to wind down because they are always organizing everything and helping and getting everything ready. And, I have them go, can I help? Can I do this for you? Or can I do? And I'm like, no, you're here to rest and
Mhm.
relax. I'm here to do that for you. I'm your camp mother while you're away. Do you have women that do take a little bit of time to switch off?
I have it normally the first 2 days, especially the
Yeah.
first day with people coming in at different times. I normally don't plan anything in that day except for a welcome dinner. And that people are kind of surprised that they don't have to do anything yet. Or do you need help with me doing something? It's like, no, this is your time for you. You've been
Yeah.
traveling. So you can get early access to your room. You can chill. You can have a nap. You can sit at the pool. Just relax. And then, oh, and tomorrow, what do we need to do tomorrow? Well, don't have to do anything either. You can go and get breakfast from this time on. We leave for the excursion on that time. So for me, it's very important to have breaks during the day. And I also checked with different women organizations before I started arranging the trip. It's like, what do people want? Do women want full day itineraries or do women want parts of the day free leisure time so that they can have some time for themselves? And the majority wanted free time for themselves. So that's how I booked the trip. And then on the last trip to Bali, two of the ladies were like, it is so weird because everything is planned. They know that everything is planned, but it feels so relaxed, like it's not a schedule. And I told them, like, I did that on purpose because I've had it in the past that you go on trips and you're being picked up in the morning and you're not back at the hotel until late at night. And you haven't enjoyed the location you're at.
Yeah.
Told them like I purposely did this because if it's yes, you want to see the destination where you are, you want to do things, but you also want to rest and you also want to have a moment to just sit. If you want to have a late morning in bed, we have mornings that we have late mornings as well. That must be possible to do that because I know that I enjoy a trip more if I don't feel rushed.
Yes. And I want to just bring back something you just said there about having enough time to enjoy where you're staying. Because I personally very much take this into account when I'm creating travel experiences. And I do it for myself that there is no point spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on an amazing location if you are planning to be out all day.
Exactly. Exactly. It's like enjoy the location where you are. Go for a walk in the rice fields in the morning, or just sit at the pool and write in your journal, or just watch the scenery. Just watch
Yeah.
the scenery and have the time for that.
Because it's crazy. The amount of people like me and my partner when we were in Bali after one of the trips, it was our anniversary. So we treated ourselves to a couple of nights at this really beautiful villa that was in central Bali, right in the middle. There were a couple of villas there and then a
Mhm.
central bit. So there were other people there.
Yeah.
We never saw those people. It was isolated, this place. It was stunning. It had beautiful pool. There was a private chef, lovely grounds. Those other people were not there. So I'm like, and then because it was in the middle of nowhere, they had to get a driver to take them, obviously,
Mhm.
wherever they were going every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did you book this place?
Exactly. It's especially if you bring people to a location that they've never been to before. And also, I'm trying to give the accommodation where I am the chance to show themselves without my activities. You can only do that if people have the time to stay and do things in the resort. And then they can think, oh, that might be fun to do with my family or with my husband. Oh, that will be fun. But if they're only there at night and in the morning, when are they going to experience the hotel?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that whether you're planning like a group trip like ours that we
Mhm.
do, or you're planning you create itineraries also for
Mhm.
people, if you're curating that, it's really important to take that consideration. Like, okay, you want a gorgeous hotel room or resort with a beautiful pool. Okay, how much time are you going to be spending there? Or do you go a little bit down, you save some money because you're going to still have a nice place, but you're going to be out most of the day? And I think
Yeah.
that's really relevant when you're planning a trip, to
Oh,
take that
yeah.
into consideration.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like we went on a family trip to Japan in December, and we knew that in Tokyo, we'll be outside a lot of the time. So we were like, as long as we have our bed, we can do the laundry there. There's a small kitchen. We're fine with it. But when we moved to Nagano and we were staying there for skiing, and I knew that we will be in the room in the hotel during the day as well, because you come in and out, especially me, I don't ski. My husband and my daughter do. So I was like, okay, I want this. I want to make sure that, oh, there's an onsen there. There's a nice restaurant in the hotel. There is more spacious. Same as in Tokyo when we went back after the resort. We knew it was New Year's, things will be closed. You will be outside, but you want more space. So you're considering how much time you will spend or you want to spend at the accommodation as well when you're booking certain accommodation or when you're looking into certain accommodation.
Yeah, and I think it's so important to think about that. And what you've covered are some really, really good tips, and we'll start to wind this episode down. But there's a couple of things I like to do before we end the episode. And one is
Mhm.
a quick fire round of some fun
Yeah, yeah.
questions. And you just got to answer them really honestly and quickly, whatever comes first. And then we'll end it with your question you're going to ask the next guest. So I'm going to do the quick fire round first. And also, segue, I'm going to put all of Soëlily's details so you can get hold of her and see all her wonderful trips below. And I will remind you of that before we end the episode. So I'll do about 4 questions, I think. So this is a bit ironic because we were talking about not doing the bucket list stuff, but what is a travel goal you've had to strike off your bucket list? So it's something you have done.
The Great Wall of China.
Yeah. I do actually still need to do that. It's one
It's
thing I'd like.
amazing.
Yeah. What is one country you'd go back to again and again?
Fiji.
Dang.
The
I used to
people.
go there as a child quite a bit, but I haven't
Mhm.
been back as an adult. So, what is the worst thing you've eaten while traveling?
Well, I'm quite picky, so I don't eat things. I let my husband test it first. I don't want to eat things I don't know.
That's like royalty. They used to get all the servants to taste the food to see if it was poison first.
I even told him, like, I want to go to Mongolia, but can I just say I'm a vegetarian because I'm not going to eat all those things?
So, actually, listeners, this is something I do. I'm not a full-time vegetarian, but there's some countries where I know the food is going to be a little bit different, especially when it comes to animal products. So I do actually say I'm a vegetarian. And it saves you trying to explain, I don't want to eat offal or
Yes,
a foot of something.
yes.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing that, but if you just say you're a vegetarian, it just takes away.
Easier. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
easier.
way easier. Oh, if you had to pick cityscape or nature retreat.
Depends on the mindset. If I want to rest and do nothing, nature. If I want to explore and have like a little getaway somewhere I've never been before, and it will be city.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a really neat way to sort of roll things up is the fact that, all about that mindset and and to consider that when you're planning or looking at a group trip or any travel experiences, to think of your mindset and how you want to feel. I want that to be the takeaway from this episode, I think, is when you're planning your trip, consider how you want to feel. I think that's really important.
Yes.
And then what is the question you're going to ask our next guest for the Paso Paso question?
My question is, what does a truly restful holiday look like for you?
And that's going to be different for everybody, like you just said, isn't it? So that's, really good food for thought. And what trips have you got coming up this year?
We have Phuket coming up in April. In June, we have Vietnam. I will be joining June as well. We have the 3-city trip in Vietnam that does Hanoi, Ha Long Bay, and Sapa. And then in September, we have Bali coming up. That is a recurring one. And then in November, we have Chiang Mai. And
Nice.
how can I explain it? If you just want to have fun in the sun, Phuket is for you. You can do Phuket. If you want to have a dive in real culture and exploration, Chiang Mai and Vietnam are for you. And if you just want to rest and find yourself in the temples and enlightenment, definitely book Bali.
Awesome. I love that. And I've just done Vietnam end of last year, so I really recommend it. Didn't go to Sapa though. I missed that out. But again, you never tick everything off when you're away. You have a certain amount of time. So it's definitely somewhere I want. And Thailand is one of my favorite countries. So I'm sure everyone will have a fabulous time. So thank you so much. And like I said, everybody, I'm going to put all the contact details for Serenity Travels down below. So if you want to search her out, her business, not her private one. Thank you again for coming on the show and being here. It's been wonderful chatting.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a lovely chat on a Sunday morning.
And I hope everyone else enjoyed it just as much. So remember, everyone, to stay tuned for our next episode. And I appreciate if you like, comment, and subscribe. And also, never forget to unleash your own wanderlust. Till next time.
Thanks for listening. Please share the love by liking, commenting, or subscribing, or join us in our Facebook community.